Hey, what's up? Scott Balkamere with Imagination Creation Films, and today we've got the very latest Red Komodo specs that have just been teased. And put on your official Red fanboy shirt. I got mine. Golly, we've got a whole bunch of Red camera news coming right here. So there are a lot of cameras being released and a lot being teased. There's one camera making a lot of people anxious. What's doing that is the process by which the information is coming out, as well as the demand for such a camera. And that camera is called Komodo. Now, people are used to a few industry leaks happening here and there, which seem to miss as much as they hit on specs, but they usually come out right before the actual product is announced. Well, Red Digital Cinema continuously does things just a little different. The leaks are actually teases, and they aren't actually an industry leak at all, as the president of the company, Jared Land himself, releases it or allows the information to be released by others. Now, we got to do that a while back with the announcement of the 4K SDI interface on Komodo, which came directly from Jared. Now, some dislike this, as they're used to the product coming out quickly after the leaks. The real difference is Jared is actually releasing the teases as they are being completed. Now, this is not a completed camera as of yet. You get to witness the small wins of the Red design engineers' successes in progress, and no other camera company does this. So, what are the updates on this camera? Well, we now know through updates and photos that the camera has a global shutter mode, as well as a rolling shutter mode. Now, this is new to the market. There are almost no global shutter cameras on the market right now, save the Arri, but there is about to be one that could shoot 6K, 40 frames a second in global shutter mode, and it's only 4 inches by 4 inches by 4 inches in size. They codenamed this the Baby Dragon, and it's been planned in some ways for many years. It's now called Komodo, and we've talked about it briefly in the past. Here are some known specs at this point. 6K all-new sensor with global and rolling shutter modes. Currently, we know it will shoot 40 frames a second 6K full sensor in global shutter mode and 50 frames per second in 6K widescreen mode with the global shutter turned on. We believe that it will support higher frame rates and lower resolution, but that hasn't been confirmed as of yet. It has phase detect autofocus, and it appears to have some low light abilities as well. Although specifics haven't been announced, this still of Christopher Bell holding the Komodo was taken with Komodo, and it's pretty dark in there. It also appears to support anamorphic shooting abilities, with this photo showing an awesome Hawk 2X anamorphic lens attached to that little itty bitty 6K cube. Yeah, it records internally to CFast 2.0 cards using Red Code RAW. That's right, you get to shoot in the actual Red Code RAW. And it includes the Canon RF mount built in, so you can easily adapt to other lens standards. That they're easy to go on there because the distance to the sensor is so shallow. It has dual Canon BP battery slots, as we've discussed before. It has an integrated touchscreen with full monitoring capability on the screen and on-screen tools. It'll have remote control capabilities with iOS and Android phone support with its built-in Wi-Fi. It's 4 inches cube in size, under 2 pounds. It's going to cost you under $5K if you're a Red Hydrogen owner, and non-hydrogen owners' pricing is still not known at this time, but I don't expect it to be a whole lot more. Now, this photo of Phil Holland with his little smile says a lot to me, but I went ahead and reached out to him for a comment on what he thought about the Komodo. And Phil states, "Not much I can say outside of what I posted for sure. It's actually really cool, very tiny, almost made for run and gun stuff. But big strengths are coming from that global shutter mode for handling handheld, gimbal work, not skewing. So, where does this camera fit in the world? That's an interesting question with various answers. It's not necessarily an A cam, but it could be one. It's more suited as an action cam or a small B cam, being able to put it in like very cramped places. Now think of its abilities with its global shutter as an action cam for fast motion or gimbal work or drone work, like Phil said. The other question everyone keeps asking is, when? Well, it's likely an early 2020 release at this point, and although you'll probably see a few here and there before that. There's a lot of tech being developed in this little cam, and I feel confident it is only a glimpse of what is to come from Red in the future. In more news, Jared just dropped a small little gem of news. On the Red user forum, a petition was started to make a 6K DSMC2 Dragon, just like the Epic Dragon 6K was. Jared stated that if he got 50 people on the petition, he'd likely do it. Well, they're hitting 50 plus quickly, and Jared dropped this little piece of news that put a smile on my face and will probably put a smile on many others as well. All DSMC2 Dragon sensors, with the exception of Raven, are already 6K sensors. That's right. All of those DSMC2, that means Scarlet-W, Dragon X, and of course the Magnesium was already 6K. But those other two are already 6K sensors. And he says, so with a month of software work to get IPP2 working on a 6K Dragon, all Dragon X owners will likely get a 6K upgrade for free. The nameplate being the only concern since it says 5K, he said there may be a $500 or $600 charge to swap that if the user desires. I personally want a Ghostbuster logo with 5K in the middle, but that's just me. Now, Scarlet-W and Magnesium Dragons will have to have a body swap to get to the DSMC2 unified body, but that's entirely plausible. That makes the Scarlet-W to Dragon X upgrade 20% better with 6K of resolution. I reached out to Jared for a comment on all of this, as well as understand why there was a 6K sensor in the body, but users were only able to purchase 5K. Jared had this to say. As for the sensor, it was to hit the price point. It was cheaper for us to use a 6K sensor at 5K than to make a dedicated 5K sensor like we did when we made the Raven. The Raven sensor was its own, and it ended up being more expensive than the 6K sensor. If you remember, there was a point when we had a serious Dragon yield issue. I remember that quite a bit, actually. He went on to say, but that's normal to do. We do that with a lot of parts, and so does everyone else. Like Tesla, the 60, 70, and 75 are all the same car. It was cheaper for them to make a bigger battery than a bunch of different ones. Sometimes the logistics and software and all the other bits outweigh the cost of just using more parts to keep it unified. Something people that don't make stuff probably will never understand. I asked, why not just make it 6K from the start? He replied, well, a few reasons. 5K was the right resolution for that camera, just like 4.5K was for Raven. It filled a hole in our lineup, making it 5K also built in a margin for sensor yield issues in case we ever needed it. Just like when we released the VistaVision anamorphic for a cheaper option than the VistaVision. And we could use the sensors that had issues inside the full VistaVision area. But we fixed most of the manufacturing issues we had with the Dragon, so we really likely don't need that buffer anymore. Remember, there are a lot of people that are scared of resolution. This is true. He goes on to say, it's called binning in the CPU world. The punchline is that the Dragon X would have been more expensive to the customer if we'd made a dedicated 5K sensor for it because it would cost us more. Because yes, we make our own sensors. Adding a dedicated sensor with the possibility of yield issues could have been disastrous. It's why Raven ended up having a price increase. And with this, everyone wins. And win, so many happy customers will. And speaking of winning, Recently, there was a whole slew of negative comments, articles, and statements by people who, and there's no other way to say it, hate Red. These wave of negative statements were about the Apple patent review of Red's compressed RAW patent. People were saying this was the end of Red, that Apple would destroy Red, and there was absolutely no way Red could survive this patent challenge. Many in the industry were even calling this a lawsuit. It wasn't. It never was. It was a standard patent challenge. Jared Land himself said he wasn't worried about this, as it was normal, and Apple and Red have a great relationship. Well, Red won the patent challenge. Their ownership of the compressed RAW patent is about as solid as you can get now. And Jared's only statement was, Red loves Apple. This goes to show you that people who have an overwhelming dislike for Red are probably not the best place to get your news from. Red may not be the leader, they may not be the best seller, but they absolutely exist in the market with a sizable share and constantly push the market forward. And that is great for everyone. I can't wait for the conspiracy theory videos to fly from the whole selling a 6K sensor is 5K. Oh no. Well, what do you think about all this? Feel free to comment down below. I don't mind anyone disagreeing or making opposing arguments. I only ask that you keep it civil. If your tone is not equal to the tone of my channel, I will delete the comments. So just be nice. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, do feel free to put them in the comment section down below. I do try to read and respond to each and every one, even if it's just to say thank you. I do have a Patreon or a PayPal. If you wish to support me that way, you'll find the links below, or you can support me via any of the Amazon links. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you think Red sucks, give it a thumbs down. It's all good. We can all be friends. And don't forget to subscribe. This is a growing community of filmmakers just like you. And even if you're not a Red fan, it's still a community for you. Subscribe and remember to click the alert bell. That way you'll know every time I do a live stream or anytime I upload a video like this. And as always, as I like to leave it, don't let your passion center around your life. Let your life center around your passion.